Get the Friendo Club set up today and get access to over 700 Going In Raw bonus episodes, our monthly Big Blue predictions challenges, and the ability to ask questions at Going In Raw. We also offer the Steven Larson comic book and exclusive Friendo Club t-shirt. Just hit join here at youtube.com/Steven Larson or go to patreon.com/Steven Larson to sign up. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, it's Countouts. We're going to be taking a look at wrestlers we did this last year, and it's always a lot of fun. I'll have to try to find, while we're doing this, I need to try to find last year's document, because it's wrestlers who could possibly, it's within the legal realm of possibility, they could change companies. These are wrestlers whose contracts are either coming up in 2025 at some point, or wrestlers who are already free agents, have already been released.
I got it. I got the doc in front of me.
Okay, before we get started, can you please give us from 10 to 1 the names? Yeah.
Sure. So number 10.
Yeah.
AJ Styles.
Didn't happen. Okay.
Number 9.
Uh-huh.
All ego Ethan Page. He went from AEW to NXT last year.
That did happen. Okay, there we go.
8. Definitely did not happen. Drew McIntyre.
Oh, no.
7. Daniel Garcia. I think the possibility.
Oh, it was a possibility. That might have happened, yeah.
6. Mustafa Ali.
Where was he? TNA?
Was he a free agent? Was he a free agent at the beginning of
maybe
2024?
That could be.
Released, I think.
Yeah.
5. This definitely happened. Okada,
that was a big deal.
4. Nick Nemeth. Yeah, must have been released late 2023 and showed up in, of course, TNA's TNA champ right now.
He is TNA champ right now. Yeah,
he's wrestling for New Japan.
Well, I imagine during the course of that episode, we probably were like, he'll probably go to TNA.
Yeah. 3, Deanna Purrazzo.
She's in AEW.
Yeah.
I don't know.
2, Matt Riddle.
Yeah, he went to MLW.
Wrestled for New Japan a little bit.
Yeah, right.
I don't think it's going to happen again, though.
Oh, he wrestled for Impact just like a couple weeks ago, too.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then number 1, Andrade.
Yeah, that totally happened.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 10.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. So, hey, look. Anything can happen, folks. Anything can happen. So let's go ahead and dive into this list. I'm a little bit more skeptical about some of the names on this list, but we're going to go ahead and dive into it.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like a lot of names on this list, there's a pretty good chance they're going to change companies during the course of this year.
Well, I was just looking at this one because it ain't going to be this one. Number 10.
10.
Bryan Danielson.
I mean, he's been working without a contract. His AEW contract expired August 1st. That's 4 months ago. He seems totally happy in AEW.
Yes, he does.
I think the thing is, if he has ambitions to wrestle again and is medically cleared to do so, I doubt he'd leave AEW.
I mean, he was at the All In Texas press conference thing.
But it's a situation where he thinks, or he's been told, I don't wrestle anymore. He might say, well, yeah, I'll stick around maybe in a backstage role at AEW, but if WWE comes calling, hey, you want to do the Hall of Fame thing? He might be receptive to that. So at the end of 2025,
okay,
maybe there's a chance that he can go back to be celebrated one last time.
Okay, all right.
And then if he has like a creative job in AEW, he can continue doing that.
Do you think Triple H could pitch him on, hey, you want a creative job here? It's where the biggest stage is. He was like, were you about to say we're the best wrestle? Yeah, I don't know. Look, you never know with Danielson, and you never know how much stock he would put into something that a large part of his fan base, people who knew him from WWE, how much they would be. Because look, you and I think we're of the same philosophy. You want people going all over the place,
Yeah, it makes for an exciting wrestling industry, and people are going back and forth between companies. Yeah,
right. And what happens when there's excitement in the wrestling industry?
It's good for Going In Raw.
Get paid, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I think that'd be awesome. I don't expect to see him at WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble or even next year's. But with Danielson, it's kind of never say never. But yeah, he seems like he is all elite.
Of all the names on this list, these 10 entries, yes, Danielson here is obviously the least likely to change companies during the course of 2025. But I don't know if you can say it's not going to happen. Absolutely. Likely,
right.
No. Definitively not going to happen. Of course, you can't say that.
All right, absolutely. Well, let's
but
go
it's
ahead
pretty
and move
close.
on.
Definitively, no, it's not going to happen.
Let's go ahead and move on to a guy who, no matter where he goes, well, that's actually not true if he goes back to WWE. Let's just go into it. Number 9.
9.
Baron Corbin. So his contract with WWE expired on November 1st, and the company chose not to renew it. So he is, at this point, a free agent. So the question there would be, number 1, do you see him as a guy who'd want to, is there any evidence to suggest that, if it's not WWE, he's still interested in wrestling elsewhere? He's got a pretty healthy social media activity, cooking. And, of course, now his name is Tom Pestock. I don't know what name he would adopt for himself as a wrestler outside of WWE. That being said, he probably, he got paid really well in WWE because he was there in 2019 when everybody was getting paid really good.
Yeah.
And of course, he has he seems like a smart guy. It wouldn't shock me if he invested some of that NFL money that he made before WWE. What place is there for what he can bring to the table for Tom Pestock, for Baron Corbin?
Well, it depends where he ends up, I suppose.
What would be the best fit for him?
I feel like the most obvious fit's probably TNA. I don't know if he fits. I think Baron Corbin, Tom, is a good wrestler, but I don't know if Tony Khan would see Baron Corbin and think, he needs to come where the best wrestle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I feel you.
But I think from a character, let me ask you this. I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you this anyways. If you're Tony Khan, you get to choose either Baron Corbin or Ricochet. Do you still sign Ricochet?
All right. So for the sake of conversation, obviously, because the thing about Ricochet is that, yeah, man, everybody wants to know. Everybody wanted to know, what can this guy do free of the, the boundaries of WWE wrestling, right? The WWE house style, whatever you want to call it. What is he capable of? And you revisit stuff like Ospreay versus Ricochet. AEW is, in terms of matches, this where dream matches kind of go, And so yeah, it's probably, hell, I'll be honest with you, man. I was going to say, if Tony Khan were to see what we saw in Baron Corbin, then it wouldn't be so cut and dry. That being said, even if Tony Khan literally adhered to every philosophy of Steve here, it'd still be Ricochet because, there's only so much humiliation I'd be able to suffer in social media, because it is like that. I mean, that is the thing. Ricochet, honestly, should probably just adopt a gimmick where his vocal cords are crushed and he can't talk, because he's still awful at that. But that being said, I have seen signs that the guy's WWE rust is starting to shake off. And, I think a year from now, this dude is probably going to be putting on them 4.5, 5-star bangers, man. I do. I do think that it's interesting to see the development of somebody coming from WWE into fulfilling the potential of in-ring AEW guy.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing about Ricochet. I love Baron Corbin, and you and I both think he was a tremendously underutilized and ill-utilized talent.
Yeah.
So I think that he'd still be worth the investment for sure. But that being said, if your eye is exclusively on who's going to be putting on the matches in the ring already when they get here, or at least, somebody who there's dream matches galore, you're going to want the Ricochets and the dudes coming from New Japan and the prominent indie wrestlers who are known, what's the dude MJF wrestled in England?
Michael Oku?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly. Dudes like that is who you're going to want.
Yeah. No, I think you're right in that analysis. It'd be interesting to see Baron Corbin show up in New Japan, though.
I don't disagree with that.
I think that'd be great. whether they bring him in to join Bullet Club War Dogs.
Yeah.
David Finlay brings him in. I don't know. Although they just brought in Sonata.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I think Baron Corbin in New Japan would be interesting, a place where it seems like there'd be more opportunity for him to showcase what he can do in New Japan than probably AEW if you were to go there. Tony Khan's not very good at booking, like larger competitors.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like look at Lance Archer. There's a number of people that are WWE size plus. 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 250 plus pounds that could be booked as attractions that Tony Khan just doesn't do. He hasn't really shown a willingness or a capability of booking, like super heavyweight type wrestlers in interesting roles for the most part.
Yeah.
Unless you can name an example I'm just not thinking of.
No, but when you look at a WWE sized guy like Claudio, honestly, Claudio really should be. I don't think he should be in a more prominent position. Yeah. Didn't he was the Ring of Honor champion, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Claudio?
he was.
Yeah, he was, and that's great. But I don't know. I feel like Claudio should be in a better position. And he's in a good position, but I feel like that dude should be crushing people. But the bottom line is he's like 6 inches taller than their average wrestler.
Yeah.
But he's a phenomenal wrestler. I don't get it. I really don't. But you're right. He likes booking the smaller guys. The thing about New Japan also is that as we've seen with certain people like Mox, for example, Jericho even, they can take those like New Japan is not exclusively interested in being where the best wrestle. They're known for that internationally, but like they'll bring in just dudes, and just like, hey, let's see how we could package them. New Japan would be perfect if Baron Corbin was interested in going overseas for extended periods of time. That would be an incredibly interesting place for him because I feel like they would give him the space and the spotlight wouldn't be so. It's the weird thing where like in New Japan, people be like, what? They brought in Baron? And I feel like New Japan would allow him the space and opportunity to grow as a wrestler or to see what he could do as a wrestler. In AEW, the spotlight's too big. It's like you got the entire goddamn internet right on him. Oh, he's not even, like they're immediately going to be judging him.
Oh, one bad match. Oh, Baron's washed. Yeah.
Right, exactly. In New Japan, like nobody here really pays much attention. So it would be like, holy shit, look what he's done with himself over there. Look at and they're really good at packaging, like presentation.
They are.
New Japan is so like the Mox packages or video packaging thing they did where it's like, oh, who is this person?
Yeah.
They're really good at that kind of shit.
They are. I guess if the closest analogy probably stateside then to New Japan in that respect might be TNA. I mean, I know for the most part this year, they've gotten some good buzz. I know they just made a signing recently. They got them some, well-deserved negative press.
Yeah, that ain't going to go well for them.
No. But, a place where Baron can go and, try to grow as a performer without the massive spotlight of AEW.
Yeah.
TNA could be an option.
Look, if he ends up in TNA, I think that'd be great. I really wish they'd allow members to get the show, but because I'm not the YouTube membership thing.
Oh yeah,
I wish they'd go back to that. But TNA just doesn't have that cool factor.
No, not really.
Like it just doesn't. It's like it is kind of like, look, man, no offense to Dolph Ziggler, but like he's their champ. It feels like the place where like former WWE guys who couldn't crack a certain ceiling go.
I mean, that's historically in a lot of respects.
They have that because it's true. You know, like that's.
And we're going to mention some names here later on this list, possibly leaving TNA.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are the wrestlers that provide what cool factor TNA has.
TNA has kind of always been like where wrestlers go early and where wrestlers go late, but they rarely actually kind of peak there. You know?
Very few people are actually there during their primes nowadays. Yeah.
like maybe you could say that about Samoa Joe. Like he was like his best years, I think, were probably in TNA.
Well, him and AJ probably you maybe make that case.
AJ, yeah, but then when you look at like, okay, AJ was actually a lot cool. Like he was a lot cooler when we went to New Japan.
Yeah, but that was both of them left TNA about a decade ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you know,
sure.
so even that, it's been a while. Over the last 10 years, it's literally a situation where people get started there, build up their brand, probably go elsewhere, and then people who get released from WWE go to TNA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah. So I don't know. Anyways, let's move on to this next one. Number 8. Matt Cardona.
It's entirely possible that by the time this video goes up on Christmas Eve, so we're shooting this on the 16th, so about a week from now, Matt Cardona could already be signed to AEW because there's already rumblings of that possibility. So he's challenging.
Oh, is that true? I haven't heard that. Okay.
So Chris Jericho is facing Matt Cardona for the Ring of Honor title at Final Battle on the 20th, I believe. And so Meltzer reported on Wrestling Observer Radio recently, quote, I know that there was at least talk of Cardona getting an AEW contract. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, or if he's already agreed. I guess we'll find out. Obviously, if he beats Jericho, which I don't expect to happen, but if he does, obviously they wouldn't do it unless he's under contract.
Yeah.
Cardona's made it clear in previous interviews that he would like to go back to WWE at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, obviously failing that, if an opportunity presents itself now in AEW, and, you know, he's done this complete reinvention of himself since the last time he was in AEW for that cup of coffee. It was a matter of like a month he was there on and off. This is a vastly different Matt Cardona than what was in AEW previously.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting to see him take the gimmick that he's built up on the independents in GCW and apply that to AEW.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, this is where the best wrestle, and you have, you know, Matt Cardona, the self-proclaimed king of the death matches, who's super sports entertaining, and entertaining in terms of how he approaches stuff.
Yeah,
that could be interesting.
You know, dude, I'll put it this way: I would give the guy the benefit of the doubt, absolutely. I feel like a lot of that ground has been covered by Chris Jericho in AEW,
but I feel like Matt Cardona could do it better.
I think maybe you're right about that. That's a possibility. You're right about that. And I'd love to see him try. There is something about Cardona going back to WWE that I'd actually be really interested in, because I feel like being that guy in WWE. I don't know. There's something about it. That I think would be
wildly entertaining as well. Yeah.
And plus the chemistry with him and Chelsea, if they put them together, could be outstanding.
Yeah.
In AEW, it's just AEW is just. Let me put it this way. AEW this year, say what you will about the creative being up and down. In terms of the identity of the company, I feel like they really started to establish that in terms of like that stupid catchphrase, we're the best wrestler, right? Like, say what you will about it, but it's like, hey, that's what we're going to be. We're going to get the Ospreys, Okada, Swerves, and we're going to be just putting on these awesome matches. And then we're going to try to use stories that are built in the matches to do the thing, right? And they haven't always been successful at that this year. They've dropped plenty of balls. But I don't know that like an ironic sports entertainer thing. Again, I'd give Cardona the benefit of the doubt. I don't know that it would work within the current thing that they're doing right now. But maybe I hope I'd be wrong with that. If he ends up signing with the company, that's awesome for him, because it means that's what, that's the offer that he's got, that he likes, and he's going to take it. I would imagine doing things the way he's been doing for the last 5 years. That's a fucking grind. Yeah. And at a certain point in your life, you probably just don't want that level of grind anymore.
Yeah.
It's not like, that's the Triple H's talking about. The grind is not the indie grind, because the indie grind, that's like making towns. That's like going, and I know WWE, they make towns, but you're in a system. Yeah. You got stability.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about bugging 5 different promoters, and then haggling for your pay at the end of the night.
Yeah.
In WWE, that money's there. It's coming. It's all structured. Everything's arranged and shit. So that That ain't the grind that he's on. His grind is a fucking gnarly one, I would imagine.
Yeah, it is. That is a grind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, going around traveling a lot. Yeah, that's a grind. But having to manage everything yourself at that high of a level.
Yeah.
Where Matt Cardona's wrestling all over the country.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, having to book all your travel, haggle with promoters to make sure you get what was agreed upon, all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That dude's got such great comedic timing, though. That shit would work perfect in WWE. I'm kind of surprised they wouldn't want him, but maybe they're going for younger people. I don't know.
It could be.
Anyways, before we continue on with our show, Larson, really quick, want to bring up, man, we've had a pretty decent 2024 here at Going In Raw. And by that, I mean we've successfully completed the year 2024. At least we're about a week away from doing it. We're still around. And we couldn't do it without the support of the Friendos. And as always, we like to push. We've got memberships here at the channel, youtube.com/Steven Larson. Click join. You get access to all the bonus episodes. The first half of the year, we did an extra podcast every single week called FriendoCast. And that's all chock full of like Steven Larson not talking about wrestling, talking about a variety of other topics, which is all still relevant going into 2025. So you get all those bonus episodes, plus a bunch of bonus episodes that we did before that. Get access to the Big Blue Predictions Challenge. Of course, next week is World's End, and it's the final event in the Big Blue Predictions Challenge. Larson is looking to get this hat on his head, and you can stop that from happening by participating in the Big Blue Predictions Challenge. And that's the only way you can do that is by getting that Friendo Club set up. As I mentioned, you can get that through the membership here at the channel. It's $5 a month, or you can go to patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Click on the Friendo Club setup there as well. So yeah, man, the Big Blue Predictions hat, it's basically yours to lose, man. You're only a couple points down from the leader.
You say that, and yet you just say, hey, if you want to get on the Predictions Challenge to deny Larson the victory, do that. I thought you were rooting for me.
Oh, I'm big time rooting for you. But you know what? If friendos out there want to try to stop that from happening, who am I to say, no, you can't? You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm not gonna discourage people from throwing money at us so they can try to prevent you from getting this hat. That'd be silliness. Bad business. Anyway, so yeah, and then you also get access to the question threads for our recap episodes. I didn't know whether to say a weekly recap episodes or just recap episodes.
Well, we do multiple recaps a week, but they're
I was going to say
individual
recaps.
shows.
I was trying to... Anyways. Let's go ahead and move on, man.
Sure.
Number 7.
7.
Hook.
Send Hook to...
Hook you! What if he's already in NXT, Larson, and that dude that keeps on... That's bugging Mr. Chase is like... is Hook. There's that guy is off camera. Is like, we haven't talked about that. Who do you think that is?
Well, you just said it was Hook.
Well, I don't actually think it's him because he's still signed AEW, still making appearances at AEW.
Yeah, he just punched through the window and stuff.
Yeah. So wait a second. Get back to it. When is his contract up?
That's unclear. So back in April, SE Scoops reported that Hook was going to explore his options in free agency when his contract expired, as they put it, later in 2024. Well, we're nearly to the end of 2024.
A week away.
So perhaps it's as late as December 31st, 2024. Don't know. Since then, no other, nothing I could find about extension with AEW, any additional rumors about his testing the free agent waters, interest from WWE, any of that. So seemingly somewhat up in the air in terms of when his contract would actually expire. But there's been a lot of talk this year about Hook, maybe looking at his options. Outside of AEW, whenever his contract expires.
You think it'd be a smart move for him to try out the NXT route?
I do.
Yeah.
Talent development hasn't exactly been one of AEW's strong suits.
Not really, no.
In terms of developing talent that didn't have a wealth of experience prior to arriving there.
Yeah.
Now, they'll give you the opportunities to showcase, grow as a performer, but I don't think there's a structured developmental process in AEW.
Doesn't seem like it, no.
Obviously that's the role of the Performance Center in NXT, is to develop talent. So
I haven't heard of Hook doing many indie dates either. Maybe that's just because I'm not clued in, but I haven't heard of that.
No, I haven't heard much about that either, no.
So yeah, the dude, he's only 25 years old. And so, on one hand, as well, for an audience, it's just sometimes fun to see wrestlers bounce around a little bit. If you do 3 to 5 years in WWE, you're still only between 27 and 30 years old when you have the option to go back to AEW, and then you drum up a lot more interest in you. You keep things fresh. That's always been sort of an underrated part of a wrestler's journey, I feel, is to just go away and then go somewhere else and then come back. With Hook, I think AEW, they had something with him. And as is the case with AEW, when you don't have much of a plan or you rely on some of these wrestlers who are really young to come up with plans of their own, that just ain't going to cut it. And it's not going to, as you say, develop these wrestlers in a way that is always totally creatively satisfying to either them or the audience. And I feel like some of that has been the case with Hook. It's not like he has really risen up the card, and at the same time, he is still very young, and so you also don't want to peak too soon. But that being said, a change of scenery, I think, would be terrific for this guy. Like you said, WWE NXT does have a phenomenal performance center in terms of development. I think he'd fit right in there, and I think it'd be a lot of fun to see him in NXT.
Yeah. I mean, Hook, from the beginning in AEW, has shown that he has a presence. There's mystique.
There is, yeah.
About him and how he carries himself in the ring. Apart from that, though, like from a promo standpoint, he hasn't really grown or evolved much since the early days in AEW. Very handful of matches, it seems like he's been pushed to usually wrestle more than like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, and... So, I don't know if we know exactly what he can do.
Yeah.
The full breadth of his abilities, because I don't know if it's been showcased or if it's been fostered in a very structured way. And it's not to say that WWE's developmental system is the only way to do it. Obviously, that's not the case. Yeah. If Hook, I mean, at this point, he can't really go to the become a young lion, I guess, for New Japan.
Yeah.
I suppose he could. I mean, that's what Juice Robinson did. He was C.J. Parker for a while in NXT.
Yeah. Look, it all sort of, if he wants if he wants to up his game, that's definitely one way to do it. But he's also already been on cable television.
And that's what I'm saying. It would,
for sure.
It would seem odd to have someone that was carried championships in AEW become a young lion. But,
has there been a precedent of a dude who's got that amount of experience so far, besides, because let's take Juice Robinson. He went to the LA dojo was he a young lion after NXT?
Yeah.
He was out there with the black trunks and everything.
He was a young lion same time that Jay White was.
Oh, okay. Fuck, I don't know. But NXT wasn't what AEW is now. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that would be interesting if they were like, "Hey, come through our system, but we'll also prominently feature you."
Yeah, I doubt it would be the situation where it would be,
he's an actual young boy. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean maybe that's something that AEW should really look into, is some sort of in-house developmental system.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't already.
I know. Well, I think they were using kind of the Nightmare Factory for that.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because like Lee Johnson,
yeah,
and like Nick Camarado and Anthony Ogogo, they were going through that.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to have kind of a response to WWE's ID system. I don't know. We'll see.
Who knows?
So yeah, Hook would be interesting to beat feet and go somewhere else. Let's move on now to number 6. Speedball Mike Bailey. This one's actually been rumored. Fightful Sean Ross Sapp reported that Bailey's deal with TNA ran through the end of this year, 2024. Fightful Select reported the expectation within TNA is that he'll end up in AEW. So not, from what we understand, able to sign a contract just yet, but seems like Speedball might be going where the best wrestle, which he is one of the best at wrestling. So
he is.
That would be great.
He's one of the most exciting performers in TNA and has been ever since he returned to the American wrestling scene after, I think, being banned from coming to the country for 5 years.
Yeah. They have crazy rules like that. Oh, we should note also, Mike Bailey prefers the they them pronouns. I thought I'd heard that somewhere. I wanted to double check that. So yeah.
So yeah, if Mike Bailey were to end up in AEW or the best wrestle, as you put it, it would be a perfect fit.
Yeah, I think so. One of the most fun wrestlers to watch, like with any matchup, you're always going to get something phenomenal. I never did see that hour long with Josh Alexander, but I heard awesome things about it. Yeah, Mike Bailey, just a killer wrestler. Love to see where they end up, man.
Yeah, totally.
Is AEW the best fit for them?
I mean, if Bailey went to NXT, then if to WWE, then NXT would probably be the destination, right?
That would be the best place for Bailey, yeah.
Whereas if Speedball went to AEW, obviously straight to AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't have
NXT. Like Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I guess Ring of Honor. But you don't sign Mike Bailey and put Mike Bailey on Ring of Honor.
But has he become a little bit redundant in AEW?
I don't think Tony Khan's concerned about that. And Mike Bailey does enough, I think, to separate from Ricochet or Pac or any of the other incredibly athletic, if you want to call them high flyers, out there on the wrestling scene. Like, I feel like Mike Bailey does enough to separate themselves from anybody else. Yeah. No, I don't mean... It's, obviously it's in the details. It's not just, if you compare Ospreay, Mike Bailey, Ricochet, you can say, well, they're all high flyers. Well, no, there's differences in their approach to how they wrestle.
Different. He definitely they bring something different to the equation. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you think about it on paper. Well, Tony Khan signed 10 high flyers that all kind of do the same thing. Well, no.
Mm-hmm.
There's differences.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Let's move on now to number 5. Josh Alexander. Oh man.
Yeah, so according to interview with Chris Van Vliet, Josh Alexander himself revealed the date where his TNA contract set to expire this February 15th, 2025. Oh. He seems interested in testing free agency because, as he puts it, he's never really done it before.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you got to expect there's going to be a pretty significant market for him, whether that's NXT, maybe a reunion with his old tag partner, Ethan Page. They were the North in TNA. Maybe. He's a very good wrestler. AEW's where the best wrestle. It's a possibility as well. I mean, there's also a possibility that he stays with TNA. But if he seems intent on testing free agency, there's a couple companies out there that can probably give him vastly more sizable contracts than TNA would be able to.
I would think so. So, like, he's if Wikipedia is to be believed, just a scotch shorter than Ethan Page. He's over 6. He's 6 feet. He's 6'1", which in this day and age can be considered WWE size. Like, not like massive WWE size, but you're at the low end of WWE size.
Yeah.
Dude, if you're WWE, you scoop this guy up because you need one of these where the best wrestle guys. You know what I mean? Like, this guy can fucking wrestle, and he's got the size. He's got a great look. I think he's solid on the mic. Dude, you give this guy some money and you put him. Well, honestly, fucking NXT desperately needs dudes like this. And like you just mentioned, you got some history there with Ethan Page with the North. Man, if you're WWE, you don't lose out on this guy. There should be a legitimate bidding war between Tony Khan and WWE, and maybe even if New Japan can offer hand over fist, you try to bring him in. But dude, this guy, he should be a high profile free agent.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he can go in the ring, as mentioned. He's got a very genuine, earnest vibe about him when it comes to the promos too.
He does, yeah.
He's very relatable. He doesn't put on a pro wrestling voice. He speaks with his normal voice, and he just comes off as just very real on the mic. And And whether, it's a reunion with Ethan Page, a feud with him, or maybe they don't cross paths for a while. I don't know. But you'd think, in terms of NXT addressing the kind of lack of depth in their main event scene, you sign Josh Alexander, plug him right into that main event scene right away.
And what have we said about Trick and the one kind of knock on his game, which is he's not developing the in-ring, which I think is overflated. I think once he gets to main roster, he'll be fine because he's got everything else you want and his in-ring is serviceable. But you need people to be in the ring with your Trick Williams guys, with the dudes who haven't had a ton of experience, who haven't wrestled 50 matches with Ilya. Because when you're in there wrestling with these wrestle guys, dude, they develop quickly. You learn a lot in a short period of time. Man. I mean, now here's the thing. He's 2 years older than Paige. He's 37 years old, but he's also a phenomenal athlete. The guy takes great care of himself. So it's not this would be a good investment, even if you're looking at 5 years. Mm-hmm. It would be a good shout for WWE to go after this guy. I think that'd be a perfect landing spot for him. Again, is that what they're looking for necessarily right now? It should be, but is it? I don't know. But yeah, he's got that camera charisma that just comes across, and you wrap him up in that WWE presentation, they could do a lot with this guy. They really could.
Yeah, they could. They absolutely could. Yeah. It'd be strange if WWE didn't make a serious push to try to sign him. Mm-hmm. And I'd expect AEW too as well, because he's a good wrestler.
He's good. He's a really good wrestler, and it's
AEW for the best wrestler.
The best wrestler. Let's talk about two guys who are coming from AEW. Number 4. The Lucha Bros.
So it's not a matter of if, it's just when. On Raw this week, we saw a teaser that seemed it was quite clearly a video anticipation of the arrival of Pentagon Jr. in WWE. It's probably a wise move to bring him in now when he can join the company and not wait for his brother Ray Phoenix to be a free agent sometime well into 2025 when his AEW contract finally expires, and bring them in jointly. I think it's a good idea. Penta is a fantastic singles wrestler, as is Ray Phoenix. Establish Penta, craft a story which would necessitate Penta needing some help. That's when you debut Ray Phoenix, and it just feels like maximum impact all around if you do it that way.
Here's a hot take, Larson.
Give it to me.
I prefer Penta and Phoenix as singles guys over them being a tag team. I think they're a stellar tag team, obviously, because they're both stellar wrestlers. When I look back at their matches in general, though, I just really, and just sort of, I don't know, how they interact. I think there are so many fun matchups as characters for Pentagon in this first year without his brother, because that's what it's basically going to be. Mm-hmm. I think there are so many fun matchups there for him as a character and as obviously a wrestler as well. But I think this could be a ton of fun. He's number one. He's a tremendously comedic wrestler. He's tremendous at the comedic stuff.
Yeah,
and it's just he's just wildly charismatic. And I think there's a lot for him to do as a solo guy. And like you said, they can build to a story where he's got to get his brother, there. And then you can debut Phoenix as a singles guy as well. And then they can team up, and it's, oh my God, the first time the Lucha Bros are on TV as a tag team. Yeah, I think that's going to be a ton of fun. I mean, it's basically, like you said, that video. It's a big zero with a slash through it. Cero Miedo, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's very exciting stuff. And given that they had that sort of right on the tail end of the Netflix, or right before the Netflix on Raw thing, it seems like he might make his debut there, because they are loading that show up. So
they are.
Yeah, between him and Phoenix really not being happy about his current status in AEW, having time added to his contract, it seems an absolute certainty that both these guys are going to land in the WWE sooner than later.
Seems that way, yeah.
Well, sooner than one of them sooner, the other guy later.
Yeah.
I should say sooner and later. Anyways, let's move on to number 3.
3.
Malachi Black.
So there's been, let's say, some confusion about exactly when Malachi's AEW deal could expire. So Tony Khan, at one point, said that Malachi would be around for about 5 years.
Mm-hmm,
so he signed in 2022. That would lead you to think it's 2027.
Right. That's 5 years.
That's 5 years. But Fightful reported just this past November that Malachi's deal could be done as early as late this year, 2024, early 2025, if AEW doesn't pick up the option years on the contract. So seemingly, if we put this all together, it's a 3-year deal with a couple of option years.
What does what does Tom Budgen need to do to worm out of these option years?
I mean, if it's AEW's right to pick up the option years as laid out in the contract,
right?
I mean, that's tough. If it's
tough.
A mutual option, all I have to say is no.
No, yeah, but if it's the company's option, how do you play this game, dude? You come to me, you're like, Steve, company's got a couple options years on me. I don't want to stay there. How do I handle this?
Maybe what he thought of is if I constantly seem like I'm retiring, Tony Khan will think, well, his career's winding down.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Makes no point. It makes no sense to pay him these 2 additional years if he's going to retire. So,
right, yeah.
All right, Malachi. All right, Tom, you're free to go.
Yeah, yeah. Enjoy your retirement. What? Yeah. Oh, no, listen, that's great. He could just tell, hopefully Tony's not watching this, but Malachi is. Just tell Tony Khan that I'm winding down. Like, I'm done. You saw with my match with Cole. And it's like, all that's left is for me to put my shoes in the ring, leave them there. So where do you want to do this? It's like, you just offer it up like it's happening.
Yeah.
Say, Tony, Revolution 2025. You saw the buy rate on Sting's retirement match. Now, bigger names, Malachi Black. And then Tony's like, oh, you're retiring? Awesome. Great. Yeah, that saves me money. I don't have to pay you more. He's like, I'm really interested in Twitch streaming the most gothic video games. And so he pitches Tony Khan on a retirement match.
Doesn't he stream a lot of Call of Duty? Or didn't he?
Well, Call of Duty Zombies is kind of gothy.
All right, fair enough.
Right. And so, but you got to put some proof in the pudding. So every day he's like on Twitch, and there's like a countdown to my full-time Twitch streaming job.
Yeah.
Because right now I can only do it part-time.
See the success Chugs has had.
You got a good Malachi there.
Yeah.
I see the success. He's got the little Malachi eyebrow going there. So yeah, he pitches to Tony Khan, big retirement match. Brody will be the guy. And he's like, yeah. And then Brody, he pins him, and then he finds out, hey, you've been officially released from your contract because we're not picking up the option years. Call Paul Levesque. Alistair's back, baby.
Yeah.
I'm here to reconfront Big E. Oh, shit. Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. That's what you do. You pitch him on a retirement match. There you go. I like it. We solved it for you, Malachi. All right, man. Let's move on now to number 2. Jordan Grace.
Yeah, it seems probably pretty. I wouldn't say certain, but pretty close to certain that Jordan Grace is going to show up at WWE once her contract expires early next year, January 2025 to be exact. What she told Matt Morgan on his podcast, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to be great when she goes to WWE because Jordan Grace is awesome.
Yeah.
And, she was one of the featured stars that came over from TNA during the NXT TNA crossover. She challenged Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's title. Wasn't that long ago she was in a huge tag match, too.
Yeah, it was a month ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. She's been in a Royal Rumble already.
That's right. She was. Yeah. And she'll be back at this one.
Yeah, it's entirely
shit's
possible
happening.
that she makes her actual full-time WWE debut February 1st
Yeah.
in the Royal Rumble. Now, whether that means she's going to go straight to main, which she should, or
Oh my God. Yeah. No. Look, this is one thing that you and I will agree on 1,000%. Because like you and I disagree maybe on number one, right? Like where they should go when they go to WWE. But
yeah,
this one, NXT is already filled to the brim with outstanding high-profile talent, and they can't all be on top at the same time. You go to main, she goes to the Royal Rumble, main roster immediately. They got those mid-card titles now. They got the tag titles. They're cooking. They're actually finding pretty decent ways to use, like especially on Raw with Rhea and Liv. That shit's got to be about done. That breaks everything wide open. Are you telling me that like you're not going to do Rhea Ripley versus Jordan Grace? Oh my God.
be outstanding.
That'd be amazing. That'd be great. Dude, her versus Nia Jax over on SmackDown. Man, there are so many great matches there for Jordan Grace. There's a lot that you can do with a talent like that. And yeah, it's all that time she spent in NXT building those relationships. Dude, wheel out the Brinks truck for her, that big wheelbarrow of money, or the Brinks truck, whichever one. I got to figure out which metaphor I'm going to use.
I kind of feel like the Brinks truck would hold more money than a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, no matter which way you cook it, there's more space there. There's more volume.
Unless it's a wheelbarrow full of hundreds versus a Brinks truck full of like pennies, you know?
Well, yeah, right, exactly. If we're talking like each one can hold a different currency, like a wheelbarrow full of bullion versus a Brinks truck, like you said, full of like Monopoly money. Well, obviously that's not worth shit.
Monopoly money is not legal tenders.
So it's like just the value of the Brinks truck.
Yeah. Which, where'd you get that? You know?
Yeah. Is that supposed to be your tour bus? That's weird. You got a mattress in the back just flying around.
You know, if you reintroduce Jordan in the Rumble, she has a awesome showing.
Ooh, yeah.
Eliminates eight people, something like that. You know?
Yeah.
And as a precursor for her main roster run, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dominant run in the Rumble, down to the final four.
Mm-hmm.
Probably gets eliminated by the eventual winner.
Yeah.
And
what if you do this?
Have her win the Rumble.
That's a good one. But how about this? You know, like Chelsea Green's U.S. champion. Mm-hmm. She starts doing an open challenge. She gets Piper to help her every single time. But then the SmackDown after the Rumble, Jordan Grace has already had a killer, thing, does an open challenge, debut on SmackDown, winning the U.S. title. Imagine her, because like she always has really cool ring gear. Imagine if it's red, white, and blue themed, and she has that. Oh my! Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that'd be off the charts.
Oh my God,
that'd be
charts. Nuts. Anyways, let's talk about number one. Ricky Starks. The Revolution will be televised on either Netflix or USA Network, or CW if I had it my way.
Yeah. You know, I understand your perspective about Starks going to NXT. I get it. You know, we mentioned with Josh Alexander that the NXT needs main eventers to make their world title scene a bit more interesting.
You know, dude, honestly, I'm not even hard and fast on that. I think that my thing has always been, it depends on, because, okay, so here's the situation with Ricky Starks. I'm assuming, so Fightful, let's start off with the nitty gritty. Fightful reported recently AEW picked up an option on Starks' contract, which is going to keep him with the company, quote, into the spring or summer of 2025. So that ain't that far away. Clearly there is an issue there.
Yes.
I would be pretty shocked. They would have to wheel out like Brinks Truck Plus and get this guy on television pronto. But it seems like they're simply freezing him out because they know that he's heading to WWE.
Yeah.
So then it does become, if he goes to WWE, what do they want out of NXT going forward? Are they cool with like the way, like if you look at their women's well, dude, I don't know, man. If they do send Jordan Grace to main roster, then maybe Ricky Starks would be better off. I mean, look, obviously the dude is main roster ready. We know that. Like, that's clear. And could he have a Chris Jericho 1999 debut? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think I just sold myself on it. Yeah, he should probably go to main roster. Yeah.
He should go to main roster.
Yeah.
Imagine if they said to him, all right, this is kind of the basic approach we're going to take to your arrival. We want some video packages, but knowing that you're expert filmmaker, Ricky Starks, we want you to go shoot them.
Oh, yeah.
So rather than having, well, obviously well-produced up off.
Dude, Borash does really good work these
I know,
days.
but the typical WWE type stuff.
Yeah.
We get something like, I don't know, like a Kubrick short film.
Ricky Starks seems to love Kubrick, yeah.
Yeah, based on the framing of that one short he did a while back. He does stuff more like that to tease his arrival.
Yeah. No, that'd be terrific. We'd know off the bat too. Like as one shot of that, we'd be like, "Oh, that's a Ricky Starks video."
Some symmetrical framing and slow zooms or tracks in. Yeah,
low contrast. No, look, I think that'd be great. That would be such a big deal. I had another point, but I forgot what it was. Yeah, that'd be really cool. I'm down for it. Let's do it. Let's go.
Amazing.
Yeah, pay him all the money. Anyways, yeah, let us know. So, like, there's a couple other names out there that could switch company. One of the ones that was surprising to me was Joe Hendry. Seemingly, were you able to look this up and get any verification that like he's under contract with TNA for like the next 18,000 years? Because that's what I read. I read that he was like.
So Mike Johnson, PW Insider. How recent is this? This is from September. Said that Hendry's contract, he believes Hendry's contract runs through 2025.
Ah, okay. So that could be.
But then there was other reporting saying it was not till 2028.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, that's crazy that he would have signed that deal. Like, I guess when he signed it, he didn't know they were going to be partnering with NXT.
He the main character of NXT for like a month and a half.
Yeah, right. So yeah, dude, I don't know. Maybe a year from now we'll have more clarification, and he'll be number one on this list a year from now.
Entirely possible.
And I wouldn't be shocked to see him do additional stuff with WWE. Although now that Tessa stuff, I don't know if WWE like. Don't you think that might like hurt that relationship right there? I think TNA just doesn't give a shit about that. I think
that'd be
anymore.
A distinct possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I don't know
why TNA did that.
That's crazy. And can hit it from like the roster. I know. That's nuts.
It is.
That is nuts. Anyways, I guess we'll find out more about that in the coming weeks and months. That's going to do it for the show today, though, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hopefully, everybody has a lovely Christmas Eve and a wonderful Christmas Day, or whatever you celebrate this time of the year. Hopefully, it's an awesome one. And be safe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, goodbye.